What's up? I'm going to give it a few minutes to allow for people to join in, and then I'm going to get started. Welcome to everybody joining in. Just going to give it a minute or so before I begin. Whew, what a day, huh? Hi, Christine. How are you? How's everybody doing? I feel like every day is new news, right? Every day is more news. Okay, you're welcome, Joseph. I think this is going to be my last happy hour for a while as we get into our course now, but I'll talk about that in a little bit. Can someone just, Joseph, let me know. Can you hear me okay? Hi, Jose. Can everyone hear me okay? I feel like it's glitching a little bit. Hold on. Let's see. Doing well. Hi, Chad. Yes, you can hear me. Is it glitching for everybody? Because it's like going in and out for me. Is that happening to anybody? Can hear you. Hi, Malene. Perfect. Can hear perfectly. Okay, great. Well, welcome everybody for coming in. I had, and I'm sure a lot of you had, just a crazy day. As soon as the news broke, I must have gotten at least 50 calls and emails within an hour. And of course, I couldn't get back to everybody. So I'm sorry if I did not get back to you today. We're going to talk about the news today. Crazy. Hold on a second. For some reason, this computer, I don't know what it's doing. 1 second here. Camera settings. Just give me one moment. Maybe because it's doing that. Okay, if it keeps glitching on my end, I might end and come back in, but I'll let you know. Clear, uninterrupted, not glitching on my end. Thank you for letting me know. Okay, I'm just going to start talking. If it does start, hi, Mary, thank you. Yes, I know that, and that's why we're here. We're talking about all this. Okay, so we have news. I want to start with the baby bar. I know I have baby bar applicants in here. The baby bar is going on as scheduled for June 2020 for an online option as of now. And I want to start this by saying that this is an order from the California Supreme Court that can still be modified, which I know is scary for a lot of applicants because in our minds, we want to prepare and know that we're taking a specific exam. But I want you to keep in mind that this is all tentative. So even though the bars have been, even though like the July bar is being postponed, it definitely could still be postponed to an even further date if the examiners get an online exam together by September. So they're pushing, the Supreme Court, is pushing really hard to get this online exam, which I think is a little bit unfair to the California State Bar because remember, they have the NCBEX to answer to in terms of whether or not they're going to be able to get an online exam together for the multiple choice. So there's a lot of layers here. So number one, regarding the baby bar, as of today, it is going to go on as scheduled for the end of June. Now, it will be an online option. What that will look like, probably similar to a Zoom session if you've done one, where you'll have a proctor watching you, and they'll probably send some encrypted online exam. I don't really know how that will look, but I'm sure we'll get more and more information. I'm sure the examiners are scrambling right now because they have less than 2 months to come up with an online exam, which is unprecedented, and they have never done that before. So unfortunately, the June 2020 baby bar applicants are in some way guinea pigs to, and I don't mean to say it like that, but they kind of are to the general bar, which I think is unfair to baby bar applicants because the system should be in place, it should be tested out, and it shouldn't have to be tested through baby bar applicants. But we can only deal with the deck of cards that we have right now. And this has been so stressful for so many students. I can't even tell you the amount of people that have reached out to me with anxiety and how much they're going through waiting. They were going through waiting to see what is going to happen. So for my baby bar applicants, and I'm going to be reaching out to you all individually. I know some of you are following right now. We have a June baby bar, whether or not we'll decide together that that's the best option for you, because I know some of you have been thrown off by this being with kids now homeschooled and stuff like that. We will decide whether or not you should take it. Now, they are saying also, they ordered that you'll have 4 chances, not 3 now, to pass the baby bar exam. So that was good. And also, more significantly, the October baby bar will now be postponed till November. So that's a big change as well. If we decide not to take June, then we will strategize and see if maybe November is a better way to do that. And the reason they're doing that is because they have to allow for enough graders to be available to grade the September bar now. So they have a lot of infrastructure and protocol that they got to get down. All right, so that's the baby bar. If you have any questions on that, you can email me for any of my students or anyone wanting to know maybe what I think the best strategy for them is. Now let's go to the general bar. So the general bar is going to be postponed till September 9th and 10th. No shocker there. That is what I anticipated. They are ordered to come up with an online exam or try their best to make it online. That's kind of broad. I mean, what does that mean? What if they can't come up with an online exam? Does that mean that September will be postponed even further? So I'll get to that in a moment. And then they're ordering they have to work with the NCBEX to try and facilitate an online administration. You know, the NCBEX is kind of being wishy-washy on whether or not they're even comfortable providing, an online exam. So we have no guarantee that there was an interesting thing in the order here. It's kind of big, so just give me a moment. But it says something regarding, here it says, the state bar shall work with the National Conference of Bar Examiners. And if for those of you who don't know, that is the administration that provides the multiple choice section of the exam, the 200 MBEs, to facilitate the online administration of the September 2020 MBE or some variation thereof, What the heck does that mean? That's pretty broad. Does that mean that the California State Bar can decide that for the September exam, they're not going to count the multiple choice? I don't think so, because in their letter of recommendation to the California Supreme Court, they said strongly that they do not want to do an exam without the MBE portion in order for the grading to be fair because of the curve. So I do anticipate they're going to work their tails off right now to try and get the MBE to coordinate with them and administer an online exam. So we have the state bar examiners that are now going to have to provide the writing portion online. What is that going to look like? I mean, I don't think that's very complex. You'll probably have a link where you'll download the questions, you'll download the performance test. That's going to kind of suck because there are a number of applicants that definitely need paper. I for sure would be one of them. So in the training that I'm going to do with the students, we're going to have a lot of real test-like settings because we're going to have to prepare for not having paper in front of us that we can cross out. I don't see what would they mail potentially the exam to everybody? I don't know. I don't know how they would do that. I mean, there's no guarantee everyone would get it at the same time. So then we risk the exam being leaked prematurely, which we've already dealt with in a sense. So I think it would have to be links that would be downloaded to your computer. You open up the exam, you read the exam. How are you going to read the performance test online? These are things that tutors like myself are going to have to anticipate so that applicants are ready. And we're already on it, and we are anticipating a proctored simulated exam, a number of them within my course, because we have to make sure that applicants they know how to go through an online proctored exam. This is unprecedented. No one's ever done it before. And if you don't practice in that setting, you're going to get hit really hard, especially because the examiners are not going. We already dealt with the California Supreme Court having the grading cut litigation and things in front of them, and they said, no, we're not going to cut the score. So what are they telling us? What are they telling us, and how do we prepare? I know there's a lot of questions coming in or comments, and I'll try to get to those at the end. I don't know. Scratch paper? I don't know. I'm assuming they're not going to be able to see if you have scratch paper, but maybe if they saw, I don't see why that would be a problem. But the authentication of you taking the test is always going to be in question here, because how do you know if it is scratch paper that you don't have an outline right there? How do you know, how is a proctor going to be able to see that? The California bar examiners have a lot to deal with right now. But what does this mean for applicants? I want to talk about that. Before I get there, let me just go and see if there's anything here I want to address. Karen, it is not going to be in July. It'll definitely not be in July. Maybe give us 10 more minutes to print. That would be nice. That's a good idea, Christine. Maybe they'll say, here's the exam. You have 15 minutes to print and then come back, and we're starting exactly at this time. Our exam right now in law school are using Exemplify. They post the questions 15 minutes prior to print. I know that won't be as secure as the bar, though. That definitely could happen, and I think that's a great idea. I didn't even think about that. I think that's a great idea if they would give you time to print it. And then a proctor someone mentioned, I think there's something called ProctorU that a lot of universities have already been using for tests, where a proctor comes on the screen and can see a number of applicants. But remember, the system has to get into place. They have enough time to do it for September. My concern is a little bit more the June baby bar. So what does this mean for applicants? Well, number one, the California Supreme Court is sending a very strong message right now. The message is you're taking the California bar exam. They did not even really address the privilege in their order, whether or not they would allow law students or bar takers to practice without a license. I already anticipated that would never happen. California is so rigid, and there's so many law schools here. There's over, I believe, 40 to 45 law schools here. I just didn't see how they were going to grant some type of privilege to practice without taking the bar. So I'm sorry for those that I know petitioned for that. I know a lot of people really hoped for that, and I'm sorry if your hopes were let down today. It doesn't matter whether or not I agree with it. It just matters that I know you worked hard for it, and that kind of stinks. So if we haven't applied to take the July bar, should we apply before April 1st? Yes. If you're going to take, is that the early enrollment? That's the on-time enrollment. I am going to anticipate that the examiners, given pursuant to this order, are now going to come up with a lot of flexible protocol for enrolling for the September bar. It's no longer going to be called the July bar. And they probably shall extend that April 1st deadline. That is what I'm going to anticipate there, because the bar is now further out. I would say, to be on the safe side, maybe go ahead and enroll. But I don't think that's going to be the cutoff date by any means. I think you'll still have time if you don't make that I think you meant May 1st, not April 1st, excuse me, deadline. Okay. So what else does this mean for applicants? Number one, like I said, the California Supreme Court is making it really clear you're going to have to take the bar. There's not going to be any waiver of taking the California bar exam, and they have set this date of September 9th and 10th. Now, if for any reason that date gets changed again, the benefit of all of this is that you're going to have more time to study. And I know that so many people are waiting to get licensed. We're just going to have to accept this as our truth right now, no matter how hard it is. A lot of, especially the first time takers, are having to not walk in their graduations, and there's so many emotional things going on. But the California Supreme Court is making clear you have to take and pass the bar to be an attorney here. So all of your hard work, it needs to be, you have to now basically put that on another level and now go and prepare as hard as you can, prepare well, and take the September bar. And I really do think there will be a September bar. I think that that gives them more than enough time to run some tests on some different models and protocol and to have the exam be online. The biggest hurdle there is going to be the multiple choice. That's going to be the biggest hurdle because they've never administered that online. Scanning essays or printing essays or performance tests is not very difficult. The NCBX, though, to my understanding, this is the only state that has an order for their exam to be online right now. So the NCBX, we are a big state and we have the most applicants that take the bar, but the NCBX now has to accommodate just California. So there's a lot of things behind the scenes we won't be privy to, but at the end of the day, this is the order from the California Supreme Court. So what we should do is we need to start preparing, and we're going to have more time. And as scary as this situation might be, and somebody emailed me today and said, well, what if I don't have a quiet testing space? I'm a mom and I have 3 or 4 kids, or I have other family members that I'm quarantined with. We don't know if we're still going to be under full quarantine by July, August, which is when the real heavy prep will be taking place. But we do know that regardless, we're going to need a quiet study space, and it's probably not going to be somewhere like a library, so on and so forth. So I urge you now to figure that out. If that means, and I know money is tight for a lot of people right now, but I will say you have to take this bar. We don't know what's even going to happen with the February bar. So if you're planning on practicing soon and you need to pass the California bar, you want to pass it. I mean, everyone wants to pass it. Then maybe invest in a very small studio for just yourself. You can get maybe somewhere cheap in the San Fernando Valley, I know, where you can study by yourself. You're going to have to figure this out. I don't think that's an excuse not to prepare well. And I know that can be really hard. Like I've said in many videos, when I took the bar, I was really just starting out in my career, and I didn't have a lot of money, and I made it happen. So you're going to have to make it happen. And I want you to start thinking about that now. I want you to find a study space, make that a consistent space, and that's going to be the space, hopefully, that you take the bar in. It should be something that is that you know that is familiar to you. Okay, there's so many things going on here on the left. Let me just take a minute for a moment. Here, the order suggests that maybe a licensed attorney can supervise us. If that's true, would they let us arrange a lawyer we know to supervise, do you think, Joseph? Hold on, let's see. I didn't see that part of the order. By the way, part of the order, before I get to that question, part of the order says that the California Bar Examiners, or the State Bar, needs to submit to the court no later than May 11th their plan, a work plan, their goals, their milestones, and beta testing or other simulations for the online administration of both the June 2020 FYLSE and the September 2020 California Bar Exam. So they only have, God, this order is kind of messed up. They have not even 2 weeks. The State Bar has 2 weeks to come up with a plan for an online administration of both a June baby bar and a September bar exam. Holy crap. I don't think that's enough time. I mean, I have had an online program for 9 years, and I will tell you that we're always making changes and updates and things that we're doing to it, even though it works very well. How are they going to do that? I mean, we're going to remain positive, And I have all the faith in the state bar that they can get this done. But remember, most of them are working remote. So we have a lot to think about right now in terms of, what they're going to do. But at the same time, I feel like we should just put it on them and be like, this is the order from the Supreme Court, and they're going to have to deal with it. They're going to have to make sure that we can take a test. Okay. So now I'm going to go back to Joseph's question. So, I think he clarified down here maybe. There's so many. Hold on. I might have misinterpreted remote proctoring to mean someone's site. Joseph, I think that's what you're talking about. I don't think that I read the order a couple times. Maybe I'm mistaken. I'll read it again later. But I did not see anything about a supervising attorney watching applicants take the exam. I can't imagine that they would do that. So I don't think. I think you meant a proctor, and that's more of an online proctor situation. Chad, what if the NCBX states they will not be providing an online option? Of course, that is a possibility. They already have kind of gone back and forth on this, but they've said that they're not going to provide an online option. And then they backtracked on that and said, we will look into it. I don't know what it entails for them. I can't imagine. They would have to basically change their interface to allow for the exam to be not only uploaded, but then maybe there's a setting where you could print your Scantron and scan it in. That could be one where kind of like, you submit your essays at the end of the exam. That's one thing where you could still have your Scantron there. Or they would allow you to fill in the bubbles kind of like Adaptive or a lot of the online programs do. So they would have to have their tech people and their web developers get on that right away. Remember, it's all about the dollar, right? It's all about the money. So it's like, who's going to pay for this? Who's going to pay all of this team now that needs to come in and facilitate all of this? It's going to be tricky if they come back and say, we're not going to give an MBE exam online. Well, now the state bar is going to have to go back to the California Supreme Court and say, we cannot comply with the order because something out of our control. There is a third party here, the NCBEX, that will not administer the multiple choice exam online. And then we could have even a new modification of this decision. And I know that that is frustrating, but that is the way that this could go. It seems like Christina would be able, late, what about be able to print out questions? I'd still be taking hotel. Again, I don't know what they're going to allow for, but definitely printing out questions is an option because a lot of applicants need to be able to circle party names and go through material in front of them. The performance test, especially an essay, I'm not as concerned about. As long as you can do a split screen and see the essay to the left, and then you could do your answer on the right, I'm okay with that. But the performance test has multiple pages to it. So how would an applicant actually sift through all of those pages and really come up with an adequate response? I mean, you need to have that. They're going to have to let you print it. I think that would be my answer there. Lynette, if I choose not to take the baby bar in June, will this still count against me as one of my 4 opportunities? This online thing is going to be a serious challenge. Lynette, I do think, thank you for your question. I do think that would, if you did not pass, that would count as one of the 4 opportunities, yes. And I think that the online exam is going to be a serious challenge because I've worked with over 2,000 applicants, and I can tell you applicants, even nowadays, even in the age of technology and everything that we have online, applicants like to take things in front of them in paper. They like to study materials, printed materials. They don't want online a little bit, but you kind of get a headache reading through all of that. So I do agree that this is going to be challenging, but I will say the course that you're in, and I know my course is going to be doing this, and I'm assuming probably other courses that will be doing this, they have to now adapt their program to make sure that applicants are going to have practice with this stuff. So online simulated exams, online proctored exams, that is what's going to have to happen right now so an applicant can go in and be ready for this new format of the exam. And students like Chad, I think he's been taking online classes, online exams in law school already. It'll be less hard for him as opposed to someone from another law school that has never taken an exam online. So that's where the course has to support this new format of test taking, and applicants are going to have to practice doing essays online, doing a performance test online, and even multiple choice questions online, which, even as I'm saying it, my applicants have been doing for years. So it's not that big of a change, but the taking of the test is what I'm more concerned about. See, seems like they won't be able to monitor cheating. People go to the bathroom. Elsewhere, they have notes. Ooh, Christine, I don't know how to address that, to be honest. I hope people don't cheat. I think that the majority of applicants have a lot of integrity and will not cheat. And I think that there'll have to be some protocol for bathroom breaks, and in order to, authenticate what the applicant has done and make sure that it is reliable, they're going to have some protocol in place. But of course, it's going to be hard to be 100% because of the format of the exam being online. But I would hope that most people would not cheat. I might have misinterpreted remote proctoring to mean someone on site. Maybe they mean a video instead. Yes. Our law school announced today their board is going to meet to discuss possibly providing the schools a location to take the bar if needed for its students. Chad, I think that would be great. And I think more law schools should do that, and people should, use it if it's available. How do you think this new online bar will affect applicants with accommodation? Shelby, that is such a good question. I have already been thinking about that today. My mind's been in so many different places because I have to regroup and I have to change a lot of things and then also make sure that the applicants that are going to be enrolling in my program and have already enrolled are ready to go for this new format. That's going to be tough. Applicants with accommodations get extra time, and usually the exam is over 3 days. So I guess they're just going to have to make sure that they have testing online for those with accommodations, and they're just going to have to extend the proctoring, and they'll have to have a whole different protocol for those with accommodations, but they will have to provide an exam for them as well. What does this mean, if anything, for the release of results on May 8th? Hi, Adrian. I think that for repeaters, so there are a group of applicants waiting to take waiting for their Feb 2020 results. Those applicants usually that do not pass will not take the July bar. Traditionally, a lot of them will not, because they want more time to study and they'll postpone it to February. I think now repeaters will take the September bar. I don't think it means anything different for them. They're just going to have more time to study, which is great. We all want more time to study. So Adrian, in answer to your question, if for any reason an applicant does not pass the February exam, they will have the choice of taking September, or they'll have the choice of taking February. So July will no longer be on the table, but they can take September, which I would highly recommend, because I don't like to put too much time between the bars that applicants are taking. Diana, handwriters, I think that's going to be tricky. We can talk about that. Diana's one of my students. We can talk about that, you and I. Again, I don't have an answer. I will have you likely send email out to the state bar directly, but they're going to come out with a whole protocol, by the way, in the next week. I anticipate before results come out, they will have a whole news bulletin on their site, and they will let us know what their plan is there. If we are registered, my phone is going up, and I just want to let you know, if I don't get back to you, please give me just about 24 hours, because as you can imagine, my phone and my emails are pretty busy. If we are registered for July, do you think they will simply forward our fees to December? Nikki, yes, I think that's exactly what they will do. Karen, multiple choice, we won't be able to opt out most likely. Again, I don't know. I can imagine that for the multiple choice, because it is so many questions, they likely will have you do them just online and fill in the multiple choice online. That's what I would anticipate, similar to what my students do on Adaptive R. Okay, so just to kind of give An overview, number one, the June baby bar is on tap to happen at the end of June, and it will be an online option. Again, this is all subject to change. The October baby bar will be postponed till November. The July exam is postponed for now till September, anticipating also an online exam, and we're waiting to hear what the NCBX is to say about the multiple choice, as well as seeing what the state bar is going to say about how they're going to administer it, how they're going to provide accommodations, and how they are going to make sure that the exam proctoring is authentic and reliable. So a lot of information still to know about. I've been getting a lot of calls today about my program. We are going to start June 15th. We are going to, for those of my applicants watching here, we've already sent out that email. But we're going to start for the September bar June 15th, and we are going to prepare like we've never prepared before. Just kidding. We always prepare well, but we're going to prepare in this new setting of making sure that we are ready for an online exam. You know, I've had an course for over 22 bars. And so it's not a big thing for me, but I do want to make sure that my applicants are going to be ready to take an exam online. That's very different. And you want to be careful, because I know that there are a lot of applicants in commercial bar review right now, but they're not going to strategize with you. So just make sure that you know what you're doing here, because with what's going on with the bar, we don't really know. It's kind of like, is the September bar going to happen? If not, well, I have to then coach an applicant into where we pivot next. And then, you know, maybe waiting for February is the better thing to do for an applicant. I think by February, we will that's horrible English. We will likely still have an online exam, possibly in February, but we'll see. We don't know what's going to happen with COVID. All right. So, I will say that doing these live lectures during this quarantine time has been really a nice way for me to connect with my audience, and I really appreciate all the feedback that I have received, and I'm happy that it helps people gain clarity in terms of what's going on. We have had so many twists and turns with this bar and what to anticipate. And I will say, and I've said this before, that you're going to be okay. I think today's news was really great. I think that the fact that they didn't cancel the bar for July, they didn't cancel the baby bar for June, shows that they care about applicants needing to get licensed. They care about making sure that they provided an exam. They very easily could have canceled the July bar altogether, and they did not do that. And so we're going to take this as good news. We're going to prepare the best that we can. We're going to make sure that we prepare in real test-like settings. I've said that like 20 times already so far. And we're going to make sure that we rock it, because I know here in California, especially in LA County, they're talking about being at the stay-at-home order for the most part being in effect through the summer, which I know sucks so bad. I have a big birthday coming up in August, so whatever, I'll celebrate wherever I can, but with my students. But at the same time, we have time now to prepare so well. And like I've said before in a lot of these webinars or whatever you want to call them, the July bar always feels rushed for a lot of applicants. It's just the courses are a little bit shorter than February. And so I think that this is wonderful. It's the beginning of September, not towards the end. So you can prepare well and then get it over with and enjoy the holidays, especially if you pass. So this is a good opportunity to extend your time, to be focused, to make sure that you're in a good course. You have someone that has your back, like myself and my staff and I, and you go full throttle and you kick this in the you-know-what. And whatever twists and turns still come your way with this, as long as you have a coach and you have someone you can rely on, you'll feel good to know that they have your back and they know what they're doing. Just be careful being a number in a course right now where you could have some other news, and the course just isn't ready or doesn't care to really pivot with you. I think that that's really important for applicants right now, more than ever. So I really wish you all the best. I don't know how many more of these I'll have an opportunity to do over the next 30 to 60 days because just based on the influx of inquiries that we usually get, and especially now, I anticipate being super busy. And I'll do my best to come on. And if there is more news or people have questions, I'll do my best to just hop on Facebook and do another live. But I really felt the need today to come on and let y'all know about my thoughts on this. If there's any final questions, please type them in right now. If not, I will go make dinner. Let's see. All right. Well, it was so nice. Unfortunately, not seeing all of you, but reading. You're welcome, Joseph. You're welcome, Nikki. You're welcome, Karen. Reading your great questions and comments. If there's anything else you want to know or you want to set up a call, please let me know. And I wish you all the best of luck, whether I am the one guiding you on this journey or not. Okay. Take care and have a wonderful evening. You're welcome. You're welcome. How do I get out of here now? Facebook changed the live stream thing, by the way. I don't know how to get out of here right now. Here we go. All right. I'm still on. I think I'm still on. And you all better not be laughing at me that I don't know how to exit out of this Facebook Live. They changed the whole interface on me here. Oh, here we go. Good night, everybody. Ciao.